Welcome, everybody. It's great to be here today with you. My name is Evan Gervets. I'm from the Alliance of Biodiversity International and CIAT, that's the International Center for Tropical Agriculture, based in Nairobi, Kenya, and lead a team there working on climate action and have been part of some of these projects that are going to be presented today here. It's really a pleasure to be here moderating this session with you. I'm excited for it. The session title is The Role of Risk and Finance in Upscaling Climate Smart Agricultural Practices Among Smallholder Farmers. And as a bit of a background and introduction to this session will provide evidence on the role of risk and financial constraint in the promotion and upscaling of climate smart agricultural practices among smallholder farmers in developing countries. We'll also provide an example of community-based financial models that might ease those constraints and show financial networks of smallholders. The session will present evidence from 3 case studies from Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. And it first identifies the types of risks that farmers decisions need, the kind of decisions that they need to change to invest in climate smart agricultural practices. Second example, and second of what it's going to do is to use findings from financial diaries of Kenyan dairy farmers to shed light on the financial constraints for upscaling the adoption of climate smart agricultural practices. And then finally, it summarizes how linkages of women farmers with savings loan associations change the effectiveness of farmer field business schools to promote the adoption of climate smart agricultural practices using evidence from CARE in Tanzania. Now, as we think about this, the background of the session in general, some of the things I'd like to highlight and have us all think about, and we'll come back to later on in the session, is how these financial products and insurance are important tools for household risk management. So the role of them as being a tool and to help with the uptake of climate smart agriculture technologies and practices. And another thing to be thinking about outside of this idea of the tools are the role of institutions in this. That we see this as being critical, and we see that coming out here a lot, and something that we can, I think, focus on, and that how these institutions are important to provide these financial products to communities, but that often these institutions can be missing, and how can we foster and strengthen that. And then another thing to be thinking about here, I think, is how households kind of systematically bring in these tools and connect to institutions, but that often we can find that they're kind of doing them on their own self-finance, a kind of idiosyncratic risk management strategy that they're using, and not something, again, more institutional and using these established products, tools, and approaches that are out there. So as we go through, I think we can be thinking about these different issues, and be hearing them from the different presenters. And then in the end, we're going to come to a panel discussion. So a bit about the run of the show today. After the welcome right now from myself in just a minute or so, there'll be 3 presentations that will be given, and I will introduce each one of those. After each 10-minute presentation, there'll be 5 minutes for questions and small discussion about each one of these individual presentations. We're then going to transition to a panel of different panelists, not the presenters, but I think an exciting and very practical, applied set of panelists from partners from the field who can then respond and discuss. We'll have some time for that, and we'll have some time to bring in some of your questions also from the audience to that panel discussion right there.